Hey guys, you know, sometimes everything is very simple and we make it very complicated. You know, my friends, the most common argument I've heard is that, you know, the Jewish people don't really belong in Israel. Why? Because there's been this group of people called the Palestinians or the Arabs that have been there for centuries, right? So because they've been there for centuries, they're de facto the indigenous people and we are not. For whatever reason. My name is Tzvi and I'm out here and there's a bunch of Tzvis. Whole family of Tzvis over here. You guys can't see. Tzvis over there. I don't know if you can see them. There they are. Tzvi 1, 2, 3. You can't really see. It's dark. Oh, there they are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Maybe 6. I don't know. So, Eretz Tzvi, huh? So they're indigenous and we're not. It doesn't matter if, we were kicked out. It doesn't matter if we call ourselves the Jews or people call us the Jews and that name comes from some nomenclature, geographical. That doesn't matter to them. But folks, you know what does matter? Something very, very simple. Something very simple. Even if we would have never came back to Israel en masse, right? And I'm going to put aside the fact that there was always Jews in Israel, that even after we got kicked out, right? Even if that would have never happened, God forbid, even if we would have never taken back Jerusalem, even if we would have never built up this whole fantastic, improbable society there with Hashem's help, right? Even if that would have not been the case, here's how you know the Jewish people are indigenous to the land. Not only indigenous to the land of Israel, but have a future in the land of Israel, my friends. You know why? Because we're in the time on the calendar, on the Jewish calendar, called the 3 weeks. Right? And in this time, it doesn't matter if you're religious or not. In this period of time is a particular energy where we mourn the destruction of the first 2 temples. We remember that. What does that mean, my friends? The first 2 temples in Jerusalem, where the divine presence dwelled, where the Shekhinah dwelled. Folks, you know what that means, right? Even if it's not the majority of Jews mourning it, it doesn't actually matter, because this is a particular time on the calendar which spans space and time, which spans the generations. We had things like the Inquisition. We had things like, Holocausts. We had things like, what is it called? We had things like, as recently as the removal of Jews from a place called Gush Katif, from Gaza, which actually led to October 7th, my friends. It's a direct correlation. Right? There's a bevy of other horrible things that happen during these 3 weeks, right? By the way, the Gush Katif pullout was was on the 10th of Av, and we know that the temple burned until Hatzot, midday of the 10th of Av, right? But everything leading up to that, it was during the 3 weeks. It was actually a couple months leading up to that. But especially during the 3 weeks. It was a big tragedy, my friends. The removal of Jews from Gaza. You know? Not just Jews, like families and synagogues and greenhouses and entire, so to speak, civilization. We just pulled it out, yanked it out, uprooted them. So, my friends, this time of the year, it's not just like, a bunch of religious Jews mourning the destruction of the temples. It spans millennia, right? So that's how we know, my friends, that we belong in the land of Israel, because this time on the calendar has a particular energy. This Zman on the calendar, and it started out of destructions of the two temples, and it just continued as tragic days for us, for the Jewish people, throughout the centuries. And that's how we know that Israel is our land, because we're still commemorating these days. Folks, it's all about memory, really. Right? How does the story go? Whether or not it's corroborated is irrelevant. Napoleon came to Jerusalem and saw people on the ground. He came to Jerusalem sometime in August. Saw people on the ground mourning, crying. And he said, what are they crying about? You're talking about the late 1700s? And he was told, these people are mourning for their temple, destroyed temple. And he said, when was this temple? And someone said, well, your grace, your eminence. It was 1600 some odd years ago. 1700 years ago. Really? He's like, really? Well, if that's the case, they're going to see the third one. They're going to see it rebuilt. If they're still sitting on the ground, and there's only a few of them here anyway in this land, in this barren, at the time, barren wasteland, right? And they're not even the majority here. At least at that time, we were not, right? And the people ruling are Ottoman Turks and whatever, and a bunch of Arabs subjugating them. You know what I'm saying? And they're sitting on the ground mourning a temple they had 1700 years ago? More? Either they're crazy or they're going to get what they want if they just stick to it long enough. My friends, that's a separate lesson for us. Just if you daven, if you stay on the ground and you daven long enough, you'll eventually, and you and just stick around, like live, literally, just be alive. You eventually will get what you want. So, my friends, it's just so simple. A nation that has a memory that long, it doesn't matter if we've been kicked out, it doesn't matter if we came back, it doesn't matter if you think we're occupying our own land, It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you think we're not the same Jews as was 1900 years ago, which we are, which clearly we are. Studies have proven it, and even if we didn't have studies, we are, because we can trace it back. We have an unbroken chain. Even if in some places the religion got, what's it called? The knowledge of our own faith and traditions got broken. Soviet Union, even some places in America, Europe, right? because of assimilation or because of governmental stuff and suppression. Different reasons, right? Different places, different reasons, different things happen. Doesn't matter, my friends. We're still the same Jews. We have records of it. Every family has records of it. Going back centuries. Still the same people, genetically, ethnically, spiritually, religiously, what have you. We're still the same people as the ones that were in Israel when the temples were destroyed. So, people could say whatever the hell they want. They know the truth. And it kills them that Hashem allowed this. They thought that Hashem took away our Yerusha. They thought that Hashem took away our status as a nation with responsibility. Not chosen as better than you, a nation with responsibility. They thought that that's what happened. Oh, that's it. They got kicked out, so they must be whatever. Folks, we got kicked out. We got what's called onesh, right? We got sent to timeout, a very long timeout. It doesn't mean that our Father hates us, right? It doesn't mean that He's against us. We got sent to a long timeout for whatever reason, things that we did that weren't correct. You know what I'm saying? So, and now we came back. He allowed us to come back. And we had a lot of problems and whatever, right? Just one sec. Had a lot of foibles and problems, and what does Rav Kook say? Our foibles are great, and our consolations, because of that, our consolations are even greater, guys. And we should tell it to ourselves as individuals, Again, if you just stick around long enough, and you think you got problems, you think you got tests, you think you got, whatever, right? You're trying this and you're trying that, and seemingly nothing works. Or there's obstacles. Just understand that the consolations for all that is greater than the, if the problem is at -5, if the problems are at -5, the consolations are going to be a +10. Or at least +5, They will cancel out the -5. It's not going to be 0. It's going to be +10 and to equal +5. You know what I mean? Some quick math there. Maybe even more. Maybe even +20. At least that's the idea. So guys, it's just that simple, really. Just that simple. That's how we know it's our land. Because we're still here 1900 years later, literally on the floor, like, reading, the first evening on Tisha B'Av, we're going to read something that was written, Eicha, if I believe by one of the prophets, Yirmiyahu, I think, if I'm not mistaken. Jeremiah, as they like to call him. And then the following morning, afternoon, we read stuff. We read Kinot. There's like prose and poems and very sad stuff, written by different people, rabbis, sages, writers, poets over the years, over the centuries, describing all kinds of stuff. Whether it's Holocaust stuff, whether it's like pogroms in the Middle Ages, pogroms in 1500s. Folks, you could just go to like Jewish Virtual Library and just look up, like historical pogroms. And again, I'm not trying to like make us into like, it's not even the point. The point, to make us into like, oh my God, we're like victims, folks. The point is to show that the destruction of the temples and the fact that the Shekhinah left, the divine presence left, Jerusalem, it caused a discord in the world. It caused the nations to basically say, well, these people, God is no longer with them. They are cursed. So if they're cursed, we can do whatever the hell we want to them. They're cursed, they don't believe in, such and such. We can do whatever the hell we want to these people. Okay? We can do whatever the heck we want. And that's what happened. It all stems from the destruction of the temple, folks. All of these pogroms and all these things. It's like I don't know what analogy I can give you. It's like you have a computer and you destroyed a vital part of what's called the BIOS. What do they call the BIOS? I forget what the acronym stands for. It's like what the whole foundation of the hardware, the basic hardware runs on. So when you don't have that, any software you're running, it's not going to run properly. Right? So now Hashem has spent the last 2,000 years, 1,900 years, trying to reinstall just the BIOS in the system, folks. Think about that. Just to reinstall the BIOS, and we're still not even there yet. And we're still, the nations are like, wait a minute. They can sense, my friends, by the way, they can sense that everything is about to be restored. We're about to have a system restored. And that's why they're trying to stop it. They're making one last, I don't know if you noticed, guys, it's not just, oh, you guys don't belong in the land. It's every single solitary, accusation and argument that was ever made against the Jewish people in history, all being hurled at us at once. I'm going to end with this, guys. James Lindsay. The guy, he's a conservative commentator guy. He talks a lot about Gnosticism and all that stuff, but he made an amazing point. He said, he goes, the Crusades, at the time that they happened, involved, it was the Muslims against the Christians, right? He goes, I'm just paraphrasing, I didn't think we would have a time in history where modern crusade would be the Muslims and the Christians, or Muslims and, so to speak, people who call themselves Christians, the Christ is King people, ganging up against the Jews, creating this political horseshoe, or not creating, but completing the ends of the horseshoe to gang up against the Jews, my friends. So, again, I don't know if you noticed, it's every single solitary, trope, whether it's directly against Jews, whether it's directly against, let's say, certain things in Judaism, whether it's against just, the typical arguments just against the state of Israel or the land of Israel. And none of them, some of them don't jive with each other, It's like the same people who say, oh, we want a two-state solution, are the same people who say from the river to the sea, right? It doesn't make sense. You can't have both. You either want one or the other, right? Some of them are saying this like this, some of them are saying like that. Some of them are saying, what is it, settler violence? Folks, they're just throwing everything just to see what sticks. Why? Folks, because they know that the Shekhinah, divine presence, is about to come back. There's about to be what's called a factory. Hashem is doing the factory reset as far as the Jewish people in the land of Israel and the temple and Jerusalem is concerned. Everybody could feel it. Everybody knows it. Everybody feels it. Yeah. So, and this is driving these people crazy. And so they just have to throw everything. And by the way, to the point where, you have, like, whatever, the alphabet people saying, free the people that would throw those people, alphabet people, off of rooftops. It's, folks, this is a product of this, what I'm talking about. It's a product of it. It's just a chicken with a head cut off. It's a chicken with its head cut off. They don't know what to do with themselves, my friends. They're grasping at straws. They're throwing stuff at a wall, poopy at a wall, and seeing if it sticks. What sticks? It's basically it, guys. So we just have to stick it out, my friends. We just have to sit on the floor, barefoot, with our torn garments long enough, and we will get what we're davening for. We will get what we're crying for. We will live to see the day that what we're crying about will be rebuilt. All right, guys. Shavua Tov, and onward to the month of Av very soon. Peace.